July 20th, 1969 was a very proud day for America. It was the day that Neil Armstrong became the first human ever to step on the moon. It's pretty impressive considering the fact that NASA actually was founded only 11 years earlier in 1958. And to put a human on the moon only 11 years after being founded is a pretty big accomplishment. But everyone has their doubts. So 51 years later, in 2020, we have people that have come up with a claim that it never even happened. It was fake, and that NASA filmed it in a recording studio, and they used special effects to make it look like we were actually on the moon, when in reality, we weren't. I'm going to tell you all about it. So I'm going to kind of explain why I chose this topic. I chose the topic because, I don't know, ever since I was a little kid, space has always kind of just like amazed me. Like, wow, we really send people up there. There's really, we really brought rocks down from the moon. People have stepped on the moon. It's always just amazed me thinking of stuff like that. Also, it's kind of amazed me that, I don't know, it's just a really bold claim saying that something never happened when there's a lot of evidence saying that it did. There's physical proof, there's video proof of it happening, but I don't know, it just kind of amazed me. So now we get into the big stuff. The big point of the conspiracy theory is that we faked the moon landing and it was made in a studio because we wanted to be the first to the moon and win the space race, as they call it. Many nations wanted to be the first to accomplish certain things up in space. The U.S. was basically just really salty because they were always runner-up and second to Russia and everything. Like, for example, Russia beat the U.S. in sending the first satellite to space and sending the first human into space. And I believe that they also had the first spacewalk. The U.S. was basically just kind of like always trying to catch up, and I guess they just wanted to do one big thing so they could basically win, I guess. A lot of the things that people bring up when they talk about this kind of stuff is that the first thing is actually has to do with the flag. When he puts the flag in the ground, apparently you can see in video of it that the flag actually waves, and people see that and they say, well, how could it have waved if there was no wind up in space, you know? The next one that people use a lot is you didn't see any stars. Like, when they were filming it and you could see in the background, you could see all the rocks and the space shuttle and everything, there was no actual stars in the sky, so that was pretty sketchy. And the third thing that everyone brings up is that you can't really see any of the remains of the mission. Like, for example, they say that no telescope on Earth can see the Apollo evidence. And there's also something, I don't know if it's completely true. I don't know if it's a rumor or what, but I thought I should bring it up. One big thing also is that when it was first becoming popular that this is like being faked and all that, I guess the original tape of the moon landing was filmed over, or it was just destroyed, which I think that's kind of sketchy, but I don't know if that's 100% true or not. So now that I've told you about all the stuff that the theorists say in an argument, I thought I'd show you the other side of stuff. There are some pretty big pieces of evidence that claim that it is true. Like, for example, it was broadcasted on national television. Everyone could see what was happening as well as hear things that were happening. Like, for example, the famous line by Neil Armstrong that was one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. Everybody knows that saying. The next one is that we did actually stick a flag in the ground, which, fun fact, the flag was actually made by Sears, which, I don't know, I thought that was a pretty interesting fact. I didn't know that. The claim that the flag waved or flapped in the wind actually isn't true. So you have the pole, and then you have the flag. Well, right where in the middle of the flag, they had behind it a horizontal pole sticking out so that it would keep the flag straight and wouldn't like ruffle up and stuff. Another big thing that proves that it's real is that there was an astronaut named Charles Duke who was also with Neil Armstrong, and he left on the moon a family photo of his family. So on the ground of where they landed, he left it on the space floor, and you can look it up and you can see the exact picture, and like he took a picture of where it's at and stuff. So I thought that's pretty cool, and that gives some evidence. And the last piece of information is we literally have rocks from the moon. So that's kind of, I don't know, that's kind of hard to say no to, physical evidence. Just a couple of other things that I wanted to talk about, like for starters, the no stars claim. The camera was exposed to a very bright moon. The moon itself is very bright, and then you have to add in that they were in all-white spacesuits, which they were really bright, so they drowned out the dim light from the stars in the sky. Cameras back then, and even now really, they struggle with contrast. So like different lightings, it'll drown out certain things and it'll focus on certain things. And cameras back then, they were not the best. Honestly, their whole rig wasn't really the best back then. Like for example, I looked it up and I saw that the phone that all of us have, an iPhone, smartphone, whatever, it's actually more powerful than the actual shuttle that actually sent them to the moon. So that's pretty crazy once you think about it. The other claim about the telescope, that one's just not true. There have been many scientists who have looked through telescopes. There are photos that have been taken from Earth that of the actual like landing site. So that's really just not true. Also, we've had other countries' spaceships go by it, and they have also seen all the where we landed and stuff. So